One, two. We're Welcome to the Video and Vinyl Club. I am Emmy Wildwood. I am a musician and a producer and an artist, and this is my co-host Erin Mars.
Yes, I'm Erin Mars. I'm a writer, actor, musician, director, all-around creative weirdo. And I am so happy to be here with my lady with the mostest. I was trying to come up with a rhyme. I couldn't come up with one. But anyway,
Hostess
I'm here to
with
be
the most.
Whoops. Yeah, I was trying to do something better, but it's fine. That's an oldie but a goodie. And that's just another example, people. Right? You don't fix what's not broke. Okay, moving on. Today we're going to talk about a really fun movie that's out right now. Super big, huge budget, huge stars, beautiful cinematography. And that film is
Wicked.
Whoa, Wicked.
Starring Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo.
Yes. And my goodness gracious, as someone who has not seen the musical, and I know, Emmy, you have, because you have a Broadway family.
Yes, I do.
And I have always mixed emotions about Broadway, but that's a story for another time. Anyway.
Which is crazy because you're an actor and a singer.
Yes, and okay, let's get into it then. So I do, when I was a kid, I loved musicals. I grew up in Connecticut, and for anybody who's from like New Haven County, you're familiar with the Shubert Theater. And so we would get tickets to see a musical or something that was at the Shubert Theater, and I would go and I just loved it. And it was like, made my heart, beat in a just incredibly different way. I remember seeing Evita maybe when I was like 11 and thinking, oh my God, like I want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to be in musicals and a performer. And then when I got to high school and I was auditioning for things, I got told many times, and I think too many times, they were like, I'm sorry, we don't have anybody in the high school who could like counter you because you're too tall and you're a very big singer. And like, we don't have any guys we can like cast against you. So how about you be like the fun aunt in whatever production randomly we're putting on? Or how about you are something else that's totally random and not the lead part? And it just got to a point for me where I was like, I'm so sick of this shit. And I think like many people have had moments where you're just in love with something artistically, but when you get shut out from it, in a sense, you kind of just go, you know what, F you. And that was one of the moments I really started to turn more into my rock and roll vibes, because I saw more women in rock and roll in power positions, and you don't have to take shit from people there because you can make up your own rules and you have more self-empowerment.
I had a similar experience. I was always cast as like the comic relief. I don't know. All I know is I was like the funny Irish aunt, and I sang the song, "There you go again with that same old comment about the River City people and taking it all too much to heart."
That's pretty funny. Where'd you get your Irish accent from? How did you develop that for your character? What was your character work?
There wasn't much work except for that I had like a really insane theater teacher. So basically what happened was, I like won the Shakespeare competition.
Congratulations. That's really hard, actually.
When I was in like 9th grade or something like that.
That's tough. You had to do a monologue? I remember the Shakespeare competition stuff.
Yeah, and I have a certificate on the wall, but I have to tell you, I don't remember anything. I don't remember what I did. I don't.
Oh, you don't? You don't even remember what you did? You don't remember what play or anything?
No, I think I blocked it out because what I'm trying to tell you is that I had this crazy teacher who was like now looking back on it, totes inappropriate. Like she partied with the students.
Oh God.
She eventually got kicked out.
Yeah.
of the position, but she
Yeah.
was mean. She was mean as a fire ant.
Oh, dude, we had one of those too. She
And,
she got fired right before my senior year, but she was a bitch. Yeah.
yeah. And my mom tells this story all the time, like that she blames that teacher for me not wanting to be in musical theater anymore. But that's probably not true because like I do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I'd already played guitar like fifth grade. My dad played guitar and he taught me how to play guitar. And I think I just was like, okay, well, this like I hate this teacher, so I'm gonna like go play
Yeah.
guitar and stuff. And
Yeah.
yes, I felt in charge, like I could write the song, like no one was stopping me. I didn't have to fit into any role. But my sister did go into musical theater and
Yes.
had a kind of very long career in it and did a lot of really cool stuff. But she always was like, I'm so jealous because there's no rules in rock and roll. And I was like, yeah, baby. Why do you think
Yeah,
I'm
baby.
here?
Wow, burn the road, bitch. Hell yeah. Totally.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So I think we have similar experiences. I will say though that like, and so like dance numbers, like, okay. So back to Wicked, right?
Yes, back to Wicked. Yes.
So I went and saw this yesterday, and my sister knew we were covering it for the pod, and my sister was in musical theater. That's
Yes.
who I yelled at last week on the podcast.
We're all familiar with her, right, audience?
Jenny.
We love Jenny. We love Jenny.
So, anyways, she knew we were covering it for the pod, and she was like, "Please don't go see this without me. I will be so mad." And she can never, but she's so busy. So finally, I was like, I gotta go without you. I'm sorry. So afterwards, I called her. And she's like, "Was it good?" She was so mad at me, and I was like, "Yeah, it was great." And she said, "Did it fill your soul with joy?" And I was like, I don't know if it filled my soul with joy. I mean, yeah, I liked it a lot, but like
Sure.
she's invigorated by dance numbers. Like she loves dance numbers, and there is a place where me and her can
Or go
fully,
separate ways.
yeah, because like
Okay.
I could,
Yeah.
people swinging from the rafters and like doing a
Yes. So
kickball
she's
chase.
like a Ginger Rogers, Rita Hayworth fan.
Yeah, but she likes all kinds of dance. But
Yeah.
she just is like very into dance numbers. And like for me, that's when I start like dissociating.
You're like,
what I mean?
beep, 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 beep. Yes. And I have another story about when I was a kid and I got
Yeah.
a dance situation. This is going to be hilarious. I was competing in tap dancing I had a friend, we would do duets. And again, I had a coach and it was like, yeah, you can take this only so far. You're too tall to be a professional dancer. And it's one of these things where I look back and I think, okay, I was, 12. It just seems so insane to like already sap somebody's joy at that point. Like
Yeah.
there's a million other reasons why maybe I would decide to stop doing it at some point. Like I would lose interest or get really good at something else because you're a child. But to tell a child, and I was very tall for my age, but to say like, that's never going to work out for you. It's like, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, just shut the fuck up. You don't need to
Yeah.
tell me that. I'm a fucking kid.
Let kids just like believe the fantasy. Like I will say that,
Yes.
yeah. And I did much better as
Yes.
a rock and roll artist before I knew really how the music industry worked. Like I had some like fake vision of how everything worked in my mind based on movies I'd seen and like, there's like
Yeah.
big heads behind the desk and they just like
Yeah.
pass out record deals if you do like one number
They're like,
awesome
she's a star.
Yeah, exactly. And so like once I realized it was like about numbers and like, advertising dollars and
Yes.
all,
And it's betting. It's basically betting.
yeah, that
Mhm.
I was like, oh, like I can just like do this by myself and I don't need record deal. But I was way more just like gusto thinking that if I just could like do one, really impress the right person, like I still had a chance. Like, and that can be going for years. And I guess all I'm trying to say is It's the same thing in musical theater, but they like break these kids down early. Like they're like,
Yeah.
you better get used to getting told no,
Yeah.
you're not right for this and you're not right for that. And they create
Yeah.
these like this little military of like musical theater people at like 9 years old. And
Totally. And I think it's clicky. I think that
yeah,
was another thing that kind of turned me off to it. It felt very clicky.
yeah,
And when there's theater clickiness, at least in my high school, there was a lot of theater clickiness.
yeah,
Um, it feels so uninviting, but it's to a level of people who are incredibly insecure. And so they're like really like extra mean, kind of,
yeah,
is how it
yeah.
felt to me. Like half,
Oh
and
yeah.
I was one of these kids that I did sports and I did theater when I was in high school. So like in the fall, I was with field hockey and did field hockey and had my field hockey friends. And then we'd get to the spring and I would do like the spring musical. And it was like almost a totally different set of friends. But the people who were in the spring musical had also been in the fall play. And so their clique, by the time the musical comes around, would be like, oh, well, in the fall we did blah, blah, blah. And like, and it's just so funny because it's a small town. No one gives a crap. It's not, what is it? It's like uh big kings, little kingdoms.
It's important to know like people are training for roles like you like this segue like Cynthia Erivo and Ariana
Yep.
Grande since they are like itty bitty babies. You are a trained professional from the time you are 6, 7 years old doing like little bit parts in theater and stuff like that. So anyways, and these two I will tell you were both phenomenal. They were vets. They felt like so polished. So I mean there were no rough edges. I have a personal beef when they put people who like aren't really singers
Yes.
in movies like
Yes.
Anne Hathaway in Les Miserables. Like I could not like I'm not trying to dog on Anne. I just like I want to see the best singer of my life when I'm hearing like a show
Yes.
that you know what I mean? And
Yes. That has, yes,
there's no
such
reason you can't
big
find both.
songs. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally. So, for people who are not familiar with Wicked or what Wicked's about, Wicked is basically a musical that was on Broadway for many, many years, which I never saw, but Emmy did see with the original cast, which is amazing, and became very, very famous, has an incredible soundtrack. And the story is basically like, how did the Wicked Witch become the Wicked Witch? What was her childhood kind of like? What's her backstory? So that's what Wicked is about. It's like the way that the Wicked Witch of the West becomes the Wicked Witch of the West, essentially. And it focuses on like high school, which is I think why we start at the start of this episode, naturally we're talking about high school stories.
Yeah.
So a question for you is somebody who has seen the musical and now has seen the film. Would you say you walked in with like a certain expectation of how the storyline would go? And did you see certain changes?
Well, I had heard they'd stay pretty true to the storyline, but
Okay.
in my mind, like when you go see a musical on Broadway, it's 3 hours, right?
Yep.
Maybe 3.5, including like a half an hour uh
Intermission or
intermission.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Part one is just dedicated to the first half of the musical. So it's literally like kind of like double the length that the first
I
half
see.
of the yeah. So so many things occurred to me. My mind's being blown right now because I can't believe you've never seen the musical.
No,
So
I've never
you
seen the
don't
musical.
know. There's a huge surprise ending.
Oh,
And so I saw this, like Erin said, 2003 Gershwin Theater, original cast. That is Adina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth.
who make a cameo in this, which is really fun.
Yes,
Which is really fun that they were in it.
right. So that wasn't in the play. They created that number for the movie and
Cool.
had those, so that we could be like, oh, isn't it cool that the old, the OGs of Wicked are in this movie. I mean, I think it was the right thing to do.
Definitely.
And they were both so cute. So I saw the original lineup, Gershwin Theater 2003, and my mind was blown by the surprise ending. Like I was just a bebe. So, you know, I had,
Wow. 2003 this started? Oh my
yeah,
gosh. Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was just a bebe, and my sister was doing theater in Manhattan, and I was visiting her, and she took me to see Wicked with the original cast. And back then, I like had no, I like Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel really set their careers off, so they weren't like huge household names yet.
Absolutely. And for people who don't know, Idina Menzel sang Elsa in Frozen.
Let
So if
it
you're not,
go, let it
let it go.
go.
So we all know she's got an incredible voice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyways, yeah, the surprise ending blew my mind when I saw it back then. And so and it stayed with me so much that I recently, for my birthday, wanted to see it again on Broadway because I knew the movie was coming out and I just wanted to be sort of like fresh on all of
Oh,
it. Now,
cute.
I
Yeah.
can't say it's like my favorite thing of all time. I just remember being like, if there's one musical I do like, it's
It's
Wicked.
wicked.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
So it's hard for me to sit through the old school stuff. I just like, to me, it doesn't like get me excited anymore. I like sort of reinvention and like, or,
Yes.
you know, new sort of takes on musical theater. Um, so, but this one really is kind of a modern, feeling show, and the movie, it stayed really true to it. The first movie is part one, and then the second movie will be part two. So you have a fun surprise waiting for you that I will not give away, but let's just say it's ye old switcheroo. You don't even know yet.
Interesting. The old switcheroo, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm. So anyways, I thought it was really beautiful.
Yes.
Um, what else should I tell you? Well, what else I know about it?
Tell. Tell.
I know that it was directed by the same director who did Crazy Rich Asians, which is a freaking
Yep.
great movie.
Jon
Uh,
M. Chu. Yep.
John, yeah, and it was just as huge as that movie is. I mean, huge panning shots, so much to look at all the time. I mean, like chock full. Like I would call this maximalism, like
Yes. Yes.
which the original Wizard of Oz movie is definitely sort of maximalist.
Yes.
Uh,
And I
uh,
and that was one of the things actually I really appreciated. I felt like there was a lot of beautiful nods to the original Wizard of Oz film and setting and kind of story. We even see, you know, Dorothy and the lion and the Tin Man and the Scarecrow right at the beginning as they pan in to be like, this is Oz, as they're skipping down the yellow brick road.
yeah.
And so you get this idea of really nicely what that world is and the beauty that they put into the Emerald City and the color and that feeling to me of how special it was for audiences originally to watch The Wizard of Oz, and it was in Technicolor, and
Oh,
half
right.
the film is in black and white, and then it turns into color, and how brilliantly bright it was, and the road's yellow, and the city's green, and things are just so vibrant and beautiful. And there's those absolutely gorgeous, tremendously huge cast dance numbers
Oh,
with
yeah.
shots that are out of this world. I mean, if you're a fan of dance in general and you hate music, that's kind of weird because usually people are dancing to music. But let's say you just really you love dance, this is a film you have to watch. I mean, the dance numbers themselves are incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
There's moving sets that people are dancing on. There's panning shots as people are moving in and out. Um, you know, I couldn't believe the amount of work clearly that had to go into this for
Mhm.
the type of shots that they were doing. I mean, it was like this was such a well loved piece, and it feels that way. It feels like
Yes.
there is so much beauty and intention and like actual love for the story
Yeah.
and for these
Yes.
characters in this film.
Yeah.
It was really impressive. And yeah, I actually would totally see it again, because I think it was one of those things where so much is happening on the screen, you're missing stuff,
Yeah,
because it is
totally.
maximalist. There is
Yeah.
your eyes drawn to one thing, but I'm sure if you see it again, you're going to notice something else. And I'm somebody who likes to see those details, as I'm sure you are too. Like, as an art director, you're not looking at just like the main character. You're always like, okay, or this is how I think. It's like, how's that setting? How'd they get that shot? How'd
No,
they
literally, I
do
could
this?
not
Like,
stop
how'd they
doing.
build this? Yeah.
Yes.
Like your mind's churning because it's art. I mean, this is like absolutely gorgeous art.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous.
So, from an art director perspective or whatever, looking closely at the art direction, I noticed a few things, and that is, well, right off the bat, the animals being sort of like CGI. I was sort of shocked. Is it CGI? It's animated. Yeah.
They're CGI'd. Yeah.
Yeah, that totally surprised me. And I don't know what I expected. I like kind of totally forgot about that part of it. And that's
So
what the whole story is about. Because
yeah, and with that though, like with it being that way, how did they do that in on Broadway?
a big costume head.
Okay, a guy just
Yeah.
walks up and he's like, "I'm a goat," kind of like
Yeah.
how they do the
Yes.
Lion King or whatever.
Yeah, but I like totally forgot about the whole thing. And what's hilarious is some
Uh-huh.
little kid in the movie was like, she's an animal activist. And the mom's like, that's right. She is an animal activist.
Oh,
Anyways,
that's cute.
yeah, it was cute. So that right off the bat totally blew my mind, but it didn't bother me at all. I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. Like, and then I loved the choice of it being both CGI and then also special effects, sort of like set building. Like that
Mm-hmm.
there was a not like specifically the Jeff Goldblum scene with the
Mm-hmm.
wizard scene. It was just
Mm-hmm.
sort of a projection. It was sort of a scene him dancing around a mini Emerald City that would have been done similarly on stage. It was like, and that's if you go back and watch the original Wizard of Oz. Like as a kid, I didn't notice this, but I recently saw it, and it's all sets, giant painted backdrops.
Huge. Yeah.
So it's
Huge, beautiful,
yeah,
beautifully painted backdrops. Yeah.
yeah, and incredibly put together sets in the original. And so I liked that there was a little of both. It was like you could see the pieces that like were made by people. Um it felt so much richer with both things being in it. I wondered if you agreed, like to be able to see like the sets people built also with some like modern like tactical special effects and then also
Yes.
computer special effects. The mix
Yeah.
of it made it
Yeah.
very, it again, let's just keep bringing it back to substance. That was a thing. It was both things in the substance.
Yes.
Made it feel so layered and rich. Like
Yeah.
when you layer those looks, it actually ends up looking so much more
Yeah. So much richer. You
richer.
create
Yeah.
such a richer canvas.
Yeah.
Um, and I have to say, I'm totally in agreement with you about everything you said, because again, like when the Wizard of Oz was made, with Judy Garland, that version, and those level of artists painting these backdrops that are gorgeous, painting these stuff, but that Oz the Wizard scene, the machine, yeah, that was practical stuff. One other thing I want to just kind of quickly say is the budget for this was $150 million.
Holy shit.
And the
Less
budget,
money than Joker.
exactly, less money than Joker. And
What?
it makes me think, what did Joker do with that money?
Maybe
I
they like
still am just like, I think about that film like, why? Like you had so much money, and this had $50 million less, and it looks like so insane. I mean, it's
yeah.
beautiful. Like, yeah, this is $150 million film.
Wait, look up what the budget was for Crazy Rich Asians, please. Because
Okay.
I'm gonna have a theory
Okay.
that this director,
Jon
Chu, fully knows what he's doing in knowing how to make things look really, really expensive.
30 million.
Are you kidding?
No.
So Crazy Rich Asian is chock full of mansions. It's a story about rich people. And so imagine the fanciest cars, the best clothes, the best bags, the best houses. So Crazy Rich Asians should not cost, it should cost as much as Joker.
Yeah, I mean, I'm even just looking, there's articles called Fallen on a Budget, How Crazy Rich Asians Made Mega Rich World for 30 million.
There you go. So my theory about Joker is like big paychecks and they licensed like classics they absolutely didn't have to license. But like, yeah. And then also the director probably got paid a ton because like I heard he didn't even want to do it. Have you heard that? Did you hear that? Whatever. This isn't a podcast about Joker.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one again later.
Anyways, but I love that keeps coming up.
I know. Well, when yeah, it's funny. It gives you perspective because anybody can do anything with money. You can either spend it wisely if you have a vision. I think it again comes back to when a filmmaker has a really good team, but also has a very strong vision of exactly what they want to execute, it's a lot easier to make that happen. And this is an example of you have the musical. He's got the blueprint right in front of him, right?
Yeah.
As a director. So he already knows, okay, the audience is expecting this. To be fair, again, Joker, kind of in a sense, filet do, or I'm saying that so bad. I'm sure people are like scratching their eyeballs out every time I say it that way. They're like, whatever. That also, in a sense, he's got the comic books. You have the character basis. That's not a film he was making, like he pulls out of his thin air.
Yeah.
So in a sense, it's like, I want to give the guy credit, like, okay. But at the same time, it's like, we'll let Joker go. We're going to let it go. We're getting back to focusing on Wicked. But I do think he did a great job. I think that this is another sense in which we see, Jon Chu as a director doing a fantastic job. This is a film that obviously has a crap load of studio backing too, because you walk into the movie theater, Wicked popcorn, Wicked soda, Wicked this, Wicked that. Like, even when I was buying my ticket online, picking my seat, the seats that were already chosen had little witches' hats on them that were occupied. It's like they have taken every thing they could. They put every marketing dollar they could into making this thing do well. And frankly, I think it's going to work because, I went to a 10 a.m. screening of this. There's a ton of kids and old ladies and people with the numbers are being sung on the screen. It would finish and people are clapping in the theater. So like there's an audience for this film,
Yes,
this is going to be a big film.
My theater clapped too at the end, the round of applause. It's not gonna be a film. Let's talk about what's going on this weekend. What's going on this weekend is that Gladiator 2 also came out, and Gladiator 2 and Wicked are in a complete battle at the box office. They're calling this weekend Glicked. They're calling this weekend Glicked and all kinds of other things because
so funny.
Wicked had the biggest opening weekend of any movie adaptation of a musical of all time.
I'm not surprised by that. I mean, it makes sense. And to talk about the stars for a second, so let's touch on Ariana Grande. What's your thoughts on Grande? What's your flavor for Grande?
I love, well, first of all,
you like her, you hate her, what's your feelings?
I love her. please. She's so talented. She's so cute. I fully watched the season of The Voice she was on.
Aw.
She's like, I respect her because for two reasons. One,
Yes.
she chooses unconventional pop music. Maybe her first couple records were like less, more conventional, but I've listened she's a huge writer and she's a producer. She apparently comps all her vocals in the recording studio. She has a strong opinion. She writes a bunch of her lyrics. She has really wacky off the frickin' ball, like off her rocker types of ideas for songs. And
Hmm.
she has a reputation for being kind of like nutty.
Mhm.
But that's my
Nutty,
flip.
like fun nutty, or nutty like pain in the
No,
butt?
no, neither. Like fun, probably, because but like just being weird. Like she thinks
Ah,
things
okay.
are haunted and like
Oh, cool.
yeah. And apparently she's very kind. The other reason I like her is I saw her win like Billboard Music Awards Woman of the Year in, I don't know, 2000, in the teens, 15,
Okay.
16, 17,
Yeah.
maybe 18, in that. But she went up there and she was having like a difficult, it was, I think after she broke up with Pete, actually. Pete,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, and she just said she's like, I have no idea what I'm doing in my personal life. I know that headlines are crazy and like I don't have any idea what I'm doing, but I do know what I'm doing when I'm making records and promoting them. And so it's really
Yeah.
nice for, to be seen for for that I can do this. So anyways, I just think she's darling and I appreciate someone everyone calls weird because like I feel like that's the story of my life. And being called nutty. And so I really like her. And I loved her in this role because the original Galinda is just like her. I mean, just she's maybe ditzier the original Galinda. Like
Yeah.
and so I thought it was really like Ariana was so very her version of that and
Yes.
it was pretty on the nose and I liked that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was really impressed with her.
Yeah.
I'm a classically trained soprano. And when
Yes.
I was in high school, I did a ton of opera kind of stuff. And her range in this, I had no idea that she would actually really be able to carry so well what she did.
Oh
And
yeah.
she really, really pulled this off. And she was funny. And
Mhm.
she just did a really wonderful job. I think she did really, 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 really wonderful job. Um, and the balance with her and Cynthia Erivo was fantastic. I mean, there were several moments in this film with the two of them, and God, I mean, Cynthia is such an incredible actor. I mean,
Wow.
that's like
I just
such
got
a
chills.
given.
I
She's
literally just got chills remembering
Yeah,
how
and
good she was.
she's so fantastic, and there is something about the feeling of being an outsider, and I can't imagine there's not a single person who has gone through their life without having a moment where they felt like an outsider, and how lonely that feels. And it's almost like this hollow ache that she sinks her teeth into. And it's almost in that way that this character was forced, not by choice, but almost forced into being different and had to just accept it. That has this spine of steel when it comes to standing by her beliefs in what she believes is right or wrong. And the way I mean, she just like
Yeah.
electrifies the screen. I mean,
Yeah.
I had tears in my eyes multiple times during this film. I am not
Yeah.
somebody who generally yeah, I don't know. She's incredible. So I
Then
think from the performances, I would be very surprised if one of these two women does not get some sort of nomination for an
yeah.
Academy Award. I think it would be a real shame if one of them didn't.
Cynthia Erivo crying in the scene where she's being sort of picked on at the dance, and the tears just like run down her face, and
Yes.
then
You can feel
our
she's set up.
oh yeah, and but then Ariana comes and makes it right. I won't say comes to her rescue because she caused the problem in the first place, but um yes, she is so emotional, and tears are streaming down her face and she's crying, but she continues to dance on. So it's like crying and dancing at the same time, just pushing through the pain, and the tears running down her face are so natural. And I mean, if you're a woman, I don't care what walk of life you're in, what you've been through, if you haven't had to do something while tears were streaming down your face, like I
Yeah.
don't you're living like the a fantasy, because
Yeah.
there are so many times you have to get through something as a woman or as a person, and you're just crying through it. You can't stop it. It's so
Yeah.
emotional, but you refuse to quit, or you don't have the choice to quit, and you're just going on. I mean, I can think of at least two times in my life where I just continued through the thing I was doing and I couldn't stop crying. And I just it's the really vulnerable moment as a human being to have to cry like that in front of a bunch of
Yeah.
people. And it's like a feeling of triumph as well at the same time, because you're like, well, I cried the whole time I was doing it, but I did it. So I just really related to that moment in general, and I was so touched by their relationship beginning in that moment too, because when you are in moments like that, or where you are being sort of singled out, it's often one person or two people who stick by your side that help you survive things
Yes.
things like
Yes.
that, where you are the outsider, where you are different.
Yes. Yes.
Like my co-host here, my sweetie Erin.
I'll always stick by your side, my friend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll always stick by yours. People who
Yeah.
are
No.
very, very different can understand the same feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it is all part of a human experience, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and that's the scenes you're talking about where, you know, Galinda has invited uh
Al
Alphaba. People are we'll just call
Alphaba.
her
Al
Alphaba.
Alphaba.
Alphaba, like alphabet backwards.
Yeah, but
Alphaba,
I know
but
where
not
that
really.
came from. My sister sent me like 7,000 clips.
Tell
I
me.
have all these fun facts. No, go ahead. You were
Well, I
telling
was
me.
just gonna say, she invites her to the dance to make fun of her, and it felt like because she had been encouraged by these groupies that Galinda had. And often when there's that clique mentality, to go back to cliques are people who are insecure and they feel power in numbers. And so they want to make sure they feel more powerful by keeping that other as the other, so they feel different. Like, I'm okay because at least I'm not that.
Mhm.
And, at least I'm not her or him or whatever it is. And the moment with that change happening at the dance where she recognizes Galinda, you know, really connects because she sees that this woman has actually stood up for her. She knew what she wanted and she got her into the class that she wanted to be in and all that kind of stuff. She was saying thank you to her in a real way that other people were not. People can surround you and be your cheerleaders, but are they actually your friends? When you start to make decisions that they don't like, are they going to stand by you or are they going to ditch you? Right.
Right. Right.
And just to talk about friendship for a second from a place of like spiritualness, because this keeps coming up in conversations and I think it's interesting. that you kind of talked about it and like what real friends do, the people that stand by you. There's this Celtic spiritual book, and it's about the spiritual wisdom of the Celtic world, the Anam Cara. And Anam Cara is Gaelic for soul friend. And
Oh,
it's the idea of having somebody in your life who maybe they don't know every detail of your everyday, but either for your whole life or maybe just a season, they come in and they see you and they really see you and they support you. And it's almost like spirit is giving you like a soul hug. And these types of friends that you get in your life, sometimes they're very different than you. Sometimes they're very similar to you, but it's something that helps you remember more of who you are, the foundations of who you really are. And I'm not saying who you are in the sense of you have amnesia and you can't remember your name. I'm saying in the sense of who you are in the infiniteness of your own potential, in the infiniteness of the love within you that we all have. They can help you remember and really hold that for you, and maybe hold that mirror to you when you need that, and you to them.
yes.
And this friendship that we see these two characters have really, in some ways, really develops into that. It's like, I need you. I don't need you as like, I don't want to be alone. I want you to hold my hand. And I just like, I'm a girl who can't go to the bathroom alone. It's like, no, I'm going through a big shift. I'm stepping into a big up leveling of who am I? What am I doing? What am I
Yes.
here for? And this
Yes.
other person is like, you can do it.
Yeah.
I see you. I get
Yes.
it now. Like you
Yes.
can do it. And
Yes.
that's a moment of, it's like Anam Cara. They are Anam Cara. And what a great movie about friendship and women.
Yes.
Now part 2 maybe will totally change my mind about these two being friends. I don't know. But as a woman who is very much a feminist, I will not, by my own code of ethics, put women against each other. I will support that we can still continue to have a story. And again, I didn't see the musical, so maybe people are like, oh, Erin, you're going to be so disappointed. But I'm going to hope that we just keep going and somehow it stays positive.
My
Emmy, you're
lips
kind
are
of laughing.
sealed. My
Okay.
lips are sealed.
Now we'll have a part 2 later when the part 2 of this movie comes out, which probably will be in a year or maybe more. I don't know. But anyway.
On episode 977 of the Video Vinyl
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I think we should have, I think that we should do some fun facts, and there isn't a music segment because this whole thing is a music segment.
Yep. So this all counts as the music.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
So for fun facts, my sister sent me, she was so excited. Literally, she showed no interest in any of the any of the movies we've talked about on the podcast.
Jenny. Na, 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 na.
But now this was like the joy of her life. She sent me so much good reading material. Yeah, so I watched all these different leads like in a clip, which was very cute. She sent me an article about how the Wicked author came up with the name Elphaba. They are the original writer of The Wizard of Oz's initials, LFB. So he just sort of took the names LFB and made it into Elphaba.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's one.
Cute.
Right? Oh, they showed Ariana finding out that she got the role as Galinda, and she cries her eyes out and says, thank you. I'm gonna take such good care of her. And, yeah, it was so cute. And if you watch any interviews of these two together, I mean, they're like holding hands, they're crying constantly. I mean, all I can say is they're either like so exhausted from doing
Possible.
all these press tours or from like
Yeah.
all the dancing they've had to do. I mean, this is a big undertaking. They are emo. They're so emo interviews and they're so thin in all the photos that there's like a lot of conspiracy theories happening on TikTok, but we're not going to talk about those because it's all BS and I won't do that to them. But I'm just trying to explain to you like this movie is permeating the web. It's permeating social media. It is everywhere. And I guess the last thing I will say that's salacious is that Bach is Ariana Grande's boyfriend in real life. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they had an on-set affair, and he left his wife for her. And it was,
And she was married too.
and
Didn't
she was
leave her
married
husband?
to, yes, and she left her husband, and you know, we don't know people's scenarios. I'm not into that. Like, I can't say I am cool with hearing a thing like that, but you don't leave a marriage lightly. So,
Yeah.
you know, as a woman or as a man, hopefully. But you know, that it was I was like, that guy? I was like, Bach? She left him for Bach? It's kind of crazy, right?
I know. Yeah, it is kind of crazy.
He's a little noodle head.
Yeah, he's kind of cute though. I can kind of get it.
Yeah, I mean
He
cute.
seems sweet. He seems sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Cynthia Erivo, guess what? She wore
What?
prosthetic ears throughout the entire movie
I knew
while
that.
playing Alphaba. Oh, did you already say that?
I saw them doing her makeup and she wore prosthetic ears, prosthetic cheekbones, like sort of up here. She had like prosthetics on the front of her face and they put freckles on her and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, you knew that then.
And a lot of green makeup.
Okay.
Yeah,
What
but our
about this?
listeners
You had a lot of
don't.
green makeup. And by the way, she's not actually green in real life.
Duh.
Okay, next fact. They planted and grew 9 million tulips for the landscape of Munchkinland.
But I thought it was poppies.
No, in Munchkinland, it's tulips, I guess.
Interesting.
Okay, here's another one. Both Nick and Joe Jonas auditioned to play Fioro.
Oh.
But the role
Fioro.
But the role ultimately went to Jonathan Bailey, who I have to say, that guy's super hot.
Yeah.
I love everything he does. And was very happy to see him in that role. I like Jonathan Bailey. He's just like, he's like, I don't know. He's got this, you know, and especially, I guess, because of the TV shows he's been in, that it's like,
what are they?
Bridgerton.
Bridgerton. Oh yeah.
I know Jonathan Bailey from Bridgerton.
Was that him? I didn't even realize that was him.
Dude, yes. The minute I saw him, I was like, oh, yes, of course. Yes, I understand why everyone's so intrigued by this new addition to their high school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, interesting. He beat out to the Jonas Brothers for that role. So that's cool. So let's get back to the vinyl record rating. Emmy, take
10. 10.
You gave it a 10.
Well, what else? Nothing was missing. I don't know. I can't think of anything that I would have fixed. I mean, it felt like the best possible scenario.
Yes. Yeah. And I completely agree with you. It's so tough, right? Because it's like, there's a million things that are great about the film. Is the film, you know, it's hard for me to give it a 10. I loved it. I would definitely watch it again. I think it's really great. Did I watch this film and think, oh my God, this blows my mind in the level of cinema and they've birthed a new genre and I can't believe they've done this and it's super fantastic? No. But did it feel like the most delicious slice of apple pie and made my heart super warm and fuzzy? And I would watch it a tons of times? Yes. So I'm going to say an 8 because beautiful, gorgeous, love the casting, absolutely fantastic, fantastic performances. I just still am holding my top number for, I don't know. I don't know what the hell I'm holding it for, but I do, but it was amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. I want everybody to go see it.
I have
Emmy, you
to
want
tell
everybody
you,
to go see it? Tell me.
I love Ariana, but Cynthia Erivo made this movie a 10 out of 10 for me because
She was freaking fantastic.
yeah, and if and knowing what Elphaba's character is, I mean, I Elphaba is a more on in the musical itself on stage, she is a character that has a little bit of disdain. She's a little bit sort of not agitated. She just sort of like has a little bit of a attitude, an edge, and the way Cynthia Erivo played it was more like she was just with so much more depth, so much oceans deep.
Yeah.
Cynthia Erivo made this character that is normally like you feel a little bad for her. You understand that she is sort of an activist. You respect her. Cynthia Erivo took Elphaba and made her oceans deep. And
she really did.
Yeah, and that is like to me that she made the whole film. And obviously, I mean, she is the whole film, but she really made this movie a 10 for me because if it had been anything less than that like incredible performance, I don't know. Everything relies on those two.
And look, I mean, it says something about the level of craft she has as an actor.
Yeah, yeah.
She is an actor's actor.
Yeah.
She is, so dedicated to what she's puts her mind to and is doing. She fully is the character. She fully dives in.
Yeah.
But this brings back a question that I think we kind of glossed over before. When we get to the Academy Awards, do you think one of these women will be up for, let's say, Best Actress?
It would probably be Cynthia.
Okay. And look, Ariana could be Best Supporting.
Yeah.
Because technically I do believe that
I could see them, but I could see them both
for Best Actor or Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress. Okay.
Oh my gosh, when is the Oscars?
February.
We have to watch them together and do an episode.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So here's my other question.
Yeah.
Who else of the films that we've seen so far, who else do you think would possibly be getting a Best Actress nom?
Actress? I can't remember anything that we've watched so far.
To me, I think it would be Demi Moore in The Substance.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think Demi Moore in The Substance, if she doesn't get some kind of recognition, I'm going to take rotten eggs and throw it at people's houses.
Everybody is
not randomly.
I can't possibly imagine that she wouldn't get nominated. That would be crazy.
Right. So then you think about the categories and you would have Cynthia versus Demi. Plus, I'm sure there's other people that we're not even thinking about right now because there's a lot more films we have to discuss.
Well, yeah.
It's really tough, right? You think about who would you vote for in those situations? Would you vote for Cynthia over Demi?
Don't musicals have their own category?
Good question. So let me bring this up. That is for the Emmys.
Oh, okay.
They have things broken down like that, like
okay,
Best Actor in a comedy or musical series, Best Actor in a drama, all these awards, and I'm sure people realize this is all marketing, right?
Yeah.
It's so that later these companies can say, oh, this film that we put all this money in, they're putting money in so they can make money back. They're not
Yeah,
making it just for the sake of art. They want to make money back, which makes sense because they want to be able to make more movies, but they also want to make money. It's a part of
sure.
having a successful company, right? So having more categories for more opportunities for people to win means that there's more films that can get marketed as, Best Picture. That's why Best Picture many years ago went from, there used to be only 5 films that were up for Best Picture, and all the other categories are still 5 nominees. But for Best Picture, it's now 10.
Oh,
So that for marketing, 10 films every year are now up for Best Picture instead of
wow.
5. So if you want to watch the Academy Awards and know every film that's going to be up for Best Picture, well, you got a lot you got to have to watch. But it doesn't matter. So we do have a special guest who's going to be joining us very soon. Not today's episode. We do a little bit of a reschedule, but we will keep you posted on that. I think we kind of gave a little sneak peek on that on social media. And let's sign off.
Yeah. So I really love the movie. We think you should go see it. Make sure you are supporting movies in the theaters, not just through Amazon streaming, though that's fine too. And we just want to invite you to find us on our Instagram and find us on our TikTok. And please, if you love listening today, leave us a 5-star review anywhere you're listening, because that really, really helps us. And
Absolutely.
if you take the time to write a few nice little lines, that's cool too, if you just have a minute. So
yeah, and if you can't think of something, I'll write it for you right now. Wow, just listen to this cool podcast. Erin Emmy, so super fun. Love it. Subscribe. There you go. Just did the work for you.
And please share and tell your friends. Erin and I do this because we love art and we want to help people continue to make it.
If you want to be part of this club and keep watching films with us, here's our list of the next few films you might be watching. So we will be watching all the films I mentioned, by the way. Not we might be. We're just not sure exactly of our order. So the films we still have on our docket to see are Here, Heretic, The Best Christmas Pageant, Christmas Eve at Miller's Point, Small Things, and The Brutalist. So check out those films. We're going to be talking about them on future episodes. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for following us. And thank you so much for your tremendous support. Thank you so much, Emmy. I love you so much. So nice.
I love you, Erin. So nice to be with you all the time.
Yes. Mwah.
Thank you, everybody.
Time. See you next time.
Bye. Bye. 1, 2, bye. Bye. Psych. Here's the real one. 1, 2.